Hi everyone, it's Nicole and I have another layout using the July Valley High Studio Calico kit. This is some of the products that I may be using, and a lot of it is the second pattern paper from this month's kit. I believe I might have maybe one or two more layouts, and then I'm going to move on to the July kit. This right here is some molding paste, and I bought these. They're pallets, but they're like throwaway pallets, and I got them at the dollar store. They were a couple dollars for like 100. And then I'm using molding paste, and then I'm using some Stampin' Up! Reinkers. But the first color I chose was way too pink, and I didn't like it. I think it was Melon Mambo, and it was just too bright for the rest of the pattern papers. So I'm just going to take out a little bit more of molding paste. And I had taken out two different pinks, two different shades of pink, and the second shade was much better. It wasn't as vibrant, and it coordinated with the paper much better. And you keep seeing me, pulling in the October Afternoon pattern paper and comparing it to it. And then I'm going to use a mask that was just from my stash, and I'm just gonna, and they look like arrowheads, and then I'm going to use that pattern paper that we got in this month's kit, and it looks like arrowheads, and it was probably my favorite pattern paper. And with this page, I think I only have a little scrap left of that second sheet of pattern paper. So usually I put it in the corners. This time I put it sort of in the middle of the page. And I'm going to use it, to frame the layout. And at the end, you only see a little bit of it. And it's more for texture, I don't know if on the page you're going to be able, especially at the top left, you'll be able to see it. But in person, you can see it through the doily. So it really adds a nice texture to the page. And I always do it so it's the first thing that I do, because it does take, I was surprised it didn't take that long to dry, but it does take a bit of time. So then I'm just going to set it aside, and then I'm going to work on the rest of the layout for a bit, and I'm just showing you some of the dimension that it gives to the page. And now I'm going to take out some of the pattern papers, and I'm going to start working on the layout. And these pictures are, our second dog is a Shih Tzu. Well, I guess he's our only dog now. And he's my daughter's dog. And of course, those dogs need to be groomed every couple months. And so when we first got him, we used to take him to the groomer, and it's like $40 every time you go. And my daughter was like, "That's just insane, I bet you I can do that. You just go get me the shaver and I'll figure it out." And I said, "Well, how are you going to figure this out?" And she said, "I'll just YouTube it." So she did. She YouTubed, how to shave a Shih Tzu. And so we bought her the tools that she needed, and she started shaving him. And she did a pretty good job, And so it saves us, $40 every couple months. And so this is just basically about her. The page is going to be about her, and how when she sets her mind to something, she will just go wherever she needs to go to figure out how to do it, and just learns how to do it. And so the title of the page is going to be "You're an Amazing Girl," because whatever she sets her mind to, she just does it. So this is the 12th layout using this kit, and it took me 1 hour and 45 minutes. And now, I don't have the background paper, so I'm trying to figure out, how everything works. And I'm sure it wasn't 15 minutes, and this stuff was dry enough that I could bring it back and work with it. So it really, really dried really quickly. And I have to say, I do have a heater in my room, and it's always on full blast because I'm always chilly. So that might have helped because it's really kind of warm. So that might have helped the drying process, but I found it dried really quickly. So I'm going to end up changing my mind quite a bit for this layout as far as the placement of the paper. You know, the only thing that's going to remain the same as what it is right now is what the pictures are mounted on, that triangle paper. I keep going back and forth, back and forth. I don't know. I think I was trying to go more outside my comfort zone. I don't use a lot of pattern paper as my background, although this month I did change that quite a bit because for, what was it? In August when I did my 1,000 subby challenge, a lot of people said, if you could try to use more pattern papers as the background, because I asked, what type of stuff would you like to see? And so I've been trying to challenge myself to do that a little bit more. But I do use a lot of pattern paper to build, I guess, my background. And when I look back, a lot of the cardstock is covered up with the pattern paper. So I was trying to change that up a little bit. But with using the molding paste where I did, it was really difficult. So I'm going to go back to what I'm comfortable with. And I had that chevron paper, and literally that strip must not have been more than 2 inches wide. And that's all I have left of the second sheet of that pattern paper, but I want to use it. And this pattern here, this is the last of this pattern paper. So I'm trying to conserve it. I don't want to waste it. So I'm going to cut strips so that it looks like it goes all the way in behind the photos, but it's just on the ends. And it makes it a little bit more difficult because you have to, keep moving stuff until everything is glued down. But when, you have a pattern paper that you really love and you don't want to waste any, this is a good way. So I had to recut some of that pink paper so that it would fit, because then it looks kind of odd because there's a big gap there. So I'm going to place that pink paper so it covers that gap. And then I'm going to have to change that postage paper again. And that paper is by October Afternoon, and I absolutely love that pattern paper. I didn't know how I would love it, but I really like it. This is my second sheet also that I've used of that pattern paper. So you can tell which ones were my favorite this month because I ended up using a lot of the second sheet of that pattern paper. Another thing I decided to do also is every 5 to 8 minutes I stop the recording and I make sure that it's recording, and then I start over again. So hopefully it's not too choppy. The last few videos I haven't noticed anything too choppy. So, and this cuts down on the frustrations quite a bit because I don't get at the end, and it takes 5 minutes out of 26 minutes. So I'm liking this a whole lot more. So hopefully it doesn't make the videos too choppy. And one thing that I love about this pattern paper is those little stamp images. I love cutting out those little flowers and using them as, an embellishment on the page. And that little white flower, that metal flower, that came from a Freckled Fawn embellishment kit. And I'm trying to use those embellishment kits a little bit more because I've received 3 of them. And once I received the third one, I hadn't even started using the first one yet. And I was like, ugh, you got to start using them. So this month I brought them out, and, I'm happy that I got to use them quite a bit. So now I'm going to pull out my washi tape collection, and I didn't know if I wanted a green, a pink washi tape or a gray, and pink just didn't do it for me. So then I took out my gray box, and I'm going through, these are all possibilities, of the ones that I liked. And then I decide on this one here. I absolutely love it. It has a gray chevron in the background. And then on top of the chevron, you have little flowers, and it has, I don't know, it looks like, what are those flowers called? They're not flowers, they're a weed. And they're yellow, and once they bloom or whatever, they turn white and you blow on them. Oh, the word escapes me. Anyway, they look like those, except at the end they're little hearts. It's such a cute washi tape, and it coordinates with this page so well because it's gray with, 2 shades of pink and the red, and all those colors are picked up in that arrowhead pattern papers and the rest of the pattern papers. So it really went well with this layout. So I'm just laying down those pieces of washi tape around the texture that I made with the molding paste, because I don't want to cover that up. And now I'm going to ink all the edges, and I'm going to use, it's called Charcoal from Hero Arts. It's a mid-tone color. And I'm going to ink up all the edges of all the pattern papers. And what I'm using as a sponge, it's from Ranger, and it's a big sheet of foam. And you cut it down to the size that you need. So I really love that. And it's like $5, and you can make so many. I love those daubers, but they're really expensive. They're like, $1 each. And this, I pay $5. I can probably make about, I don't know, maybe 30, 35, maybe even more, depending on how big I cut them. And I usually don't cut the foams very big. And you can get them at every, any scrapbooking online store. So now, as I'm putting the papers back together, I totally put it different than what I had originally had decided. So I'm going to put up that pink paper up a little bit, so then it adds a little bit of interest. And then what I like to do when I have little pieces of paper like that, because it's really hard because it's meant to look like it's one big piece of paper, but it's not. It's little scraps. So what I do to make sure that they're aligned is I have a Martha Stewart 3-inch by 18-inch or something like that. It's huge. And it's a non-skid ruler, so that it's great for cutting because it doesn't move around. I guess it's 3-inch by 14 inches. So it's great to use with your craft knife, but it's also nice to line up your papers. And then I cut up a little piece of that ribbon that we got in this month's kit, and it's a chevron ribbon. And I'm going to put it right above the washi tape at the end where the pattern paper ends. And I'm going to glue those down there. And then I cut a piece of doily in half, and I'm going to put it to the top left and the bottom right of the layout. So this page has a lot of layers and a lot of texture. And like I said, I think I might be doing 2 more pages, which would make it, I have one done already, so that will make 15 pages with this kit, and I'm okay with it. I consider a kit killed when most of my pattern paper is gone. Yes, it's nice to use up a lot of your embellishments, but I find embellishments, I just put them with my stuff, and I still use them in the next pages. As far as my pattern papers, not so much. So my goal is always to get as many of my pattern papers used up, so that when I move on, I feel like, yes, that kit was killed, because basically all I have left of these pattern papers are scraps, and I'm throwing them in the garbage and I'm moving on. So now I'm going to look through some of the stickers and embellishments that I had pulled aside. Most of these are not from the kit, they're from my stash. And what I did was I took a big container and I put a whole bunch of stuff. And what I'm trying to do is with these kits is use up some of my stash also, so that I feel that, yes, I'm using the kits, but also I'm using, a lot from my stash also. Okay, so now I'm, starting to feel good with the amount of stuff that I've chosen from my stash and all the stickers and everything. So now I'm going to start to put it together. So I usually do my pages in 2 stages. I pick up all my pattern papers, and once I feel comfortable, I glue them all down. Because I find if, especially a page like this where there's so many little bits and pieces of pattern papers, if they keep moving around, it drives me insane. And I keep having to, try to move it where it belongs. So I'd rather stick it down, and I only stick in the middle. So if I need to stick something in behind, it's not a problem. And then I work on pulling in my embellishments, and then I just pull in a whole bunch of stuff. And then once I feel good about that, then I start gluing those down. So it's almost like in 2 different sections that I do my pages. And that, like I said, that way it doesn't feel like it's a little out of control for me, like I have a little bit more control of, so that everything doesn't go all over the place. So now I, realized that I didn't have enough of embellishments. So I'm going to go through the stash again and pull out a few more labels and a few more stickers. And now I'm just in my second bucket. And I pulled out those stars, and I know I want to use those stars. And those are from the embellishment kits again, or embellishment kits from Freckled Fawn. And I love these tiny word stickers from My Mind's Eye. I'm pulling them out all the time, and you get so much usage out of them. Like, I pull them out almost every page that I do, and I just like to add a few words about what's going on the page. And also it's almost like extra journaling without having to actually journal. Like the words that I pulled out for this page is, that she's tender-hearted and generous and smart. And so my journaling is going to be, talking about how when she sets her mind to something, she figures out how to do it. There's not too much that girl puts her mind to that she doesn't do it. When she puts her mind to something, she just does it. And that just kind of adds extra adjectives, I guess, to her personality. So I really like that, without it being in the journaling, if that makes any sense. So I pulled out one of those tabs. Oh, I guess, and I put energetic because she does have a lot of energy. She lives with us, and we barely see her because between her job and her cheerleading and coaching cheerleading, and they do fundraising, and then her friend that has the daughter, she'll go over and spend time with them, and she just is go all the time. She just she's full of energy. I wish I had half her energy. So that's another word that I had stuck in there. So now I'm going to work on the title, and I pulled out a couple of my October afternoon stickers, and one is called Snow Cone, the deeper pink, and the other one is called Sherbert. And I had a question of how many times October afternoon releases these mini market stickers. Basically, whenever they put out a collection, they have mini markets to go with it. So if you like a certain color of a mini market, you know, they're only $2. So what I do is I buy 2 or 3 of them, and then I have them, because once that collection is no longer available, the mini market stickers are no longer available also. So I make sure that if it's a favorite of mine, I make sure that I buy 2 or 3 sheets of it before they're no longer available. There was one collection that I thought that I had ordered it, because usually what I do when I like a collection is I buy everything all at once, the whole collection. And it must have been out of stock, and I didn't buy it, and in my mind I had bought it, because usually I buy the whole collection, and I didn't get any of that sticker, and it was, of course, it was aqua, and I didn't get it. So now I make sure that I keep going back and get it until I get it. So I just showed you that metal flower. I have this glue that's called Quick Grip, and I got it at Michael's, and it's perfect for metal embellishments. The only thing I would caution you with is when you're taking off the cover, just be really careful, because it oozes out. Like, I didn't have to squeeze it or anything, and then I had my embellishment right underneath, and it just filled it right up. And then what I do is I take a wet one, and I just clean off the nozzle and put the cover back on, because if you don't do that, the next time you go to use it, you won't be able to, because then the cover will be stuck on. Like, it's an awesome glue, but that's the only problem with it, is that it just oozes out when you take it off. And then I added my title, and the word girl I added using my thickers that we got last month. And what I did was I just put it with my embellishments that I want to use this month, and that way I get to use it up. Because I tried to use the alphas that came in this month's kit, but when you do between 15 and 20 pages, you get kind of bored with the letters if you always use the same letters. Although in my album it wouldn't show that it all in a row, because I scrap all over the place. I don't scrap chronologically. I just scrap what I feel like scrapping. And I added that tab with some staples, and also I added a couple of their epoxy stickers, and they came in the Freckled Fawn kit, and it was a chevron arrow, and the other one was a heart, and it was a triangle, and I thought that was perfect, because because the pattern paper, it's sort of like triangles, and then my background with the molding paste had triangles. And now I punched out some butterflies, and I punched it out with the scraps that was left from that chevron paper. And I absolutely love that chevron paper. And I'm going to put an enamel dot in the center of each butterfly, and the enamel dots are from Teresa Collins. And what I like to do with the butterflies is, first I'm going to take some twine, and this is my favorite color. It is the pink that came in the Doodle Bug package, and I'm almost done. And I was kind of hoarding it, and then I was like, nope, just use it up, and then when it's gone, and then you'll use other stuff from your stash. So then I use some American Craft This to That dot adhesive, and it's perfect for using on the twine. And the only time that I use that is for adding twine onto my pages, and also to photograph my pages to put on the videos. I put a little of that in behind my pages, and then I have a board that I stick my paper on, my pattern paper, and then take pictures, and then that way it's non-permanent, so then I can just take an eraser and take it off. The eraser that's made for that. I can't remember the name of it right now. The name escapes me. And now I'm going to put some stars, the pink stars from Freckled Fawn. And I put it on either side of the word girl because I wanted that word to stand out. There seems to be a lot of shadow. I think I did that the end of that page. It was late at night. So even though with all my lights turned on, there was still a bit of shadow. So I'm going to use my Mr. Huey, and I know the second one was Passport. I think the first one was Mary Mary, and it's a light pink. And what I do is I take out the nozzle and I just tap it, and it just randomly puts splatters on your page. But then if you saw there on that ribbon, it kind of put a big blotch, and I didn't like it. So I had some ribbon left, so I just cut another piece and I just replaced it. Instead of having to live with that, I just cut it off or ripped it off and put another piece. So here are a few still pictures, and I had to kind of taken a picture of her when she was done. She was covered in dog hair, and that's it. Here are, a few still pictures, and the page is done. So thanks for watching. Bye.